You complain about the morning line at the coffee shop when your oat milk latte cools down by a couple of degrees? Congratulations, you are living in an era of unbelievable comfort. Back in the Pleistocene, your only coffee break could have ended with you turning into an ice sculpture, and instead of a barista, you'd be greeted by a saber-toothed cat in a seriously bad mood. Picture this. It's 40 below zero outside. Central heating hasn't been invented yet, and your entire wardrobe consists of a single mammoth hide that smells suspiciously of damp earth and yesterday's dinner. Evolution back then didn't operate like some cozy tech startup. It was more like a brutal drill sergeant forcing you to run a marathon through deep snow in just your socks. If you didn't adapt in time, nature simply deleted you from its contact list, with no option to recover your account. Imagine a modern mom, used to 15-minute grocery delivery and one-touch baby bottle warmers, suddenly dropped right in the middle of the ice age. She has no diapers, no cell service to call for help, and absolutely zero hope for a stable Wi-Fi connection. All she has is a stone knife, a freezing child, and an endless stretch of white wasteland that wants to suck away every last drop of her body heat. Under these conditions, survival becomes the only app running on your neural network. No likes, no notifications. Just a primal instinct screaming at you to keep moving, because otherwise the blood in your veins will turn as thick as frozen glue. You think your deadline at work is stressful? For our ancestors, the ultimate deadline was sunset, and any given sunset could be their last. Every single night in a cave was a lottery, and the grand prize was simply waking up in the morning without finding the entrance blocked by snow or occupied by a cave bear. We are the descendants of those who learned how to turn pure despair into a winning strategy. We survived this frozen hell because we stopped waiting for the climate to show mercy and started negotiating with fire instead. Now think about that for a second. If you had to trade your smartphone for a piece of flint and the ability to start a fire in a blizzard, how quickly would you realize that your fast typing skills are completely useless out here? This was a game of elimination, where the losers became nothing more than a line in the paleontological record, while the winners passed down their genes to us. Genes forged in the ultimate freezer of human history. It's ironic, really. Today, we spend millions on air conditioning systems to recreate the exact same climate in our homes that our great-grandparents fled from, cursing everything in sight. We conquered the ice, but we became hostages to our own comfort, completely forgetting that deep inside every single one of us, that same hunter is still asleep, ready to hit the trail at a moment's notice if the world suddenly lost power tomorrow. Imagine that your body isn't just a biological machine, but a highly paranoid financial analyst working through a permanent economic crisis. While you stare sadly at the numbers on your bathroom scale, your metabolism is literally throwing a party, quietly adding to its strategic reserve fund. Evolution didn't know about fitness clubs or 30-minute food delivery, so it built a survival system where every extra calorie is hard currency. Currency that needs to be hidden away in the offshore accounts of your body fat. 95. When resources get scarce, the female body flips into extreme power-saving mode, kind of like a smartphone user at 1% battery shutting down everything except emergency calls. The first things to get cut aren't your vital functions, but secondary processes. The reproductive system, which demands a massive amount of energy, goes into sleep mode, just like an app you haven't opened since 20. This isn't a glitch in your code. It's a stroke of genius. Why on earth would your body invest in potential offspring if the current owner might not even live to see spring? In this context, your body fat is not the enemy. It is the most reliable bank you could ask for. It stores energy in its most highly concentrated form, ready to issue a life-saving loan at the exact moment you need it. You call it a slowed metabolism, but nature calls it brilliant risk management. Hormones like leptin act as the chief auditors, constantly checking the balance in your accounts. As soon as those reserves drop below a critical level, your brain sounds the alarm, making you dream about a calorie bomb even in the dead of night. This has nothing to do with a lack of willpower. It's an ancient survival instinct demanding that you close that budget deficit immediately. We live in an age of abundance, but our cells are still stuck in the Pleistocene, where every single gram of fat could mean the difference between life and starving to death. Once you understand this hidden logic, you stop fighting your own body. you start to realize that your extra weight is actually the result of millions of years of flawless natural selection. Your body is just trying to protect you from an apocalypse that it fully believes is coming tomorrow. And while you try to hack your biology with exhausting workouts, your internal systems just stubbornly keep saving, waiting for a global famine that never actually arrives. It's amazing how efficiently we handle threats that don't even exist anymore, continually building doomsday bunkers in places where we should have planted a garden a long time ago. Have you ever wondered why the lone wolf looks so cool in movies, but in reality it's usually just a sad story about starving to death? For our species, the whole "I can do it all by myself" mentality was basically a voluntary one-way ticket to the grave. 95. Picture a prehistoric woman who suddenly decides that sharing resources with her tribe is just a waste of time. While she's trying to dig up a root, keep an eye out for predators, and stop her child from becoming hyena lunch all at the same time, her chances of success drop to zero faster than a phone battery in the freezing cold. Being an individualist during the Ice Age was like trying to launch a rocket into space, using nothing but paper clips and duct tape. Evolution placed its ultimate bet on a social shield. Matriarchal structures back then operated like a flawlessly tuned corporate machine. Women built networks of mutual support where everyone was part nanny, part strategist, and part intelligence gatherer. This was the first model of distributed responsibility in human history. While one kept the fire alive, another gathered edible roots, guaranteeing a steady flow of calories that didn't rely on the pure luck of the hunters. The men might return empty-handed, but the community stayed fed thanks to this collective insurance policy. What's fascinating is that modern startups facing brutal crises intuitively copy these exact same patterns. When the market crashes and resources melt away, it's not the lone geniuses who survive. It's the teams where every single element of the system supports the others. Sharing knowledge, splitting risks, and building an emotional reserve, these aren't just fancy buzzwords from a management textbook. They are the literal biological code of our success. In the Stone Age, zero support meant zero chances. Today, we call it networking or corporate culture. But the core truth remains exactly the same. You might be able to sprint on your own, but the marathon of life is only won when you run it together. Think about that the next time you decide to ignore a coworker asking for help. That single gesture might be the only thing separating you from survivor status in a fiercely competitive environment. We aren't just herd animals, we are master collaborators who built an entire civilization on the foundation of mutual aid. And while you might think your independence is your greatest asset, nature quietly reminds you, the strongest shield you have is the person standing next to you, not your own proud self. So what happens to those who decide to play this game entirely solo, when the next global storm knocks on the door of our comfortable, yet incredibly fragile world? Your success today isn't the result of a lucky coincidence or some accumulated wealth. It is the absolute triumph of a maternal strategy, sharpened in the absolute depths of ice. Every single cell in your body is literally soaked in the experience of those women who made decisions when the price of a mistake was death. They didn't just survive. They calculated risks with surgical precision, turning every single breath into an act of rebellion against the odds. You are a living monument to their incredible courage, hard-coded directly into the structure of your DNA. Think about it. Your personality, which you probably think is just a random collection of traits, is actually a high-tech weapon forged in the fires of the Pleistocene. Your ability to stay calm in a crisis, your intuitive sense of danger, or your knack for quickly shifting tactics, that isn't just psychology. It's the direct inheritance of the exact strategies that kept your ancestors from becoming just another statistic in a frozen hellscape. It is cold, hard calculation disguised as instinct. When you feel that sudden surge of determination when everything is falling apart, you should know that this is that ancient program activating, the one that kept your bloodline alive. You are the latest link in a chain that never broke, even when the planet itself tried to wipe us off the face of the earth. Every single thing you achieve is an echo of the victories won at the edge of a frozen glacier, where simply existing was the ultimate act of defiance against nature. You are the direct descendant of people who refused to give up when hope felt like an absolute luxury. Your inner resilience isn't just some cheap quote from a motivational seminar. It's a biological fact. Proven by thousands of years of brutal natural selection. You carry a genetic bonus for courage, one that lets you crush modern problems with the exact same grit your foremothers used to overcome the impossible. So now that you finally understand the true nature of your strength, are you ready to look in the mirror? Are you ready to see not just a person, but the absolute peak of evolutionary design? Are you ready to admit that your character is a weapon sharpened by thousands of years of ice and agony, just waiting for its moment to strike in a world that still desperately needs real leaders? Leaders who can guide us through absolutely any storm?